Welcome to Deadlands Dime Novels, The Adventures of Young and Holt, Issue 57, The Showdown. I'm your narrator, Ernest Wick, intrepid reporter for the Tombstone Epitaph. In this issue, Young and Holt have found Samuel Reddington and his associates and are about to take action against the new scientist before he can accomplish whatever it is he's trying to do. Porter is hot for revenge, but will it cloud his judgment? I have a feeling we are about to find out. So, we'd best see where they're at. And you go through this kind of tight little ravine / passageway. It doesn't go on for very long, maybe about half a mile or so. Twists and turns, and then you come out of there and you enter into this much larger valley. And as you're coming through, the rain begins to stop and the clouds begin to part and sun starts to streak through. Timing wise, if I remember correctly, it was still relatively not early in the day, but it was several hours before dusk at the very least. And you're greeted to a sight like you haven't seen since you've started on this journey, or even in a certain sense since you've started on the journey as a whole. The valley that's before you, it's lush and it's green, and there's all manner of various rolling hills as it expands out before you, and you can see the mountains on either side and even against the horizon. So this area certainly is enclosed by the mountains, but it almost feels like Eden-esque as how you might picture it, with everything that's around here. And it's breathtaking in a certain sense, just the sheer beauty on it. But you can see from one end to the other the valley, and it appears small, but as you begin to make your way, it becomes almost deceptively large. The other thing that you notice, and you definitely don't have to make any sort of check for this, is there is a presence here in this valley. You're not exactly sure what that presence is. It almost seems to, in how it's affecting you, depending upon what you pass. You may pass a shrub here and get a sensation of a pleasantness or a peacefulness, and then you may go past a fallen tree log or stump and pick up a more of a sinister sense, or something that is decidedly evil. It changes as you move, much like the seasons supposedly change in this valley as well.
When we first stepped in and we were kind of overlooking it all, does it look like this is the only way into the valley?
It appears that way, that this is, at least from where you're at, there might be another access point, but it's difficult to tell from the position that you're in.
Okay.
So you continue on for a little bit longer. You're kind of making your way across, and you eventually come up over a rise in a particularly larger hill. And before you sits a section of the valley, and as you can see, the slopes up are a little bit tighter on either side, and the trees kind of seem to close in a bit more here, the various pines and other conifers that come in. And down lower, down the slope of this hill, in the flat portion of the valley, you see 11 distinct mounds, and you know immediately that they're burial mounds. One, because they have that characteristic shape, but also because they are arranged in an obvious, man-made circle. From your vantage point, as you come down, you can see in essentially the center of this ring of mounds, you can see a activity. There's people around there and horses. From the distance that you're at, you definitely can't make out any details of any sorts, but they are definitely there. Now make me a notice check. Let's see if you can see any additional details with this.
11.
11 and 7 for Joshua. All right. As you make your way down a little further, you squint against the sun that's coming through here. You both notice you can see individuals going up on top of these mounds and doing something. You can't make out the detail of exactly what it is, but they're doing something. Porter, with your 11, you notice some additional details. There is a small depression of sorts kind of in the middle of the ring. In and around there, you can see the people that you have, I believe you saw them before, I think in one of the hotels in Denver. The ones, there was a couple that was wearing clothes that were themed in a bluish color, and then there was another couple that were wearing clothes that were themed in a yellowish, in yellow shades. Both of those people are here, or both of those groups or pairs are here. It looks like, and you're not 100% sure, but it looks like in the center of that depression is indeed Samuel Reddington.
Well, Porter, this don't look good.
Zach speaks up from behind. It's looks like they brought some company as well.
We did expect that.
Well, it looks like there's a few more of them than there are of us.
I guess we'll have to get the drop on them, won't we?
I guess that's right, boss. So, what do you want us to do?
So how close to the tree line are the mounds exactly?
There's a good amount of separation between all the mounds and the trees, with the exception of the one that would be roughly, if we go with the assumption that you're coming in at the 6 o'clock position, this would be roughly about at 2 o'clock, where there's probably trees are the closest. And that is about maybe from the distance that you're at, you're guessing maybe about 20 yards.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but these mounds are fairly tall, so that if you were standing on the ground, you wouldn't be able to see somebody on the other side of it.
There's enough of them, and the circle is tight enough that, yeah, the chances of you being seen are definitely reduced. I mean, certainly there's gaps, in between each mound, but somebody could easily run across that distance between one mound to another and have a good chance of not being seen.
Yeah, just be the fellers on top that might see you.
Correct.
So, Joshua, if I gave you a distraction, do you think you could get right up to those mounds with everyone?
Oh, we can get to the mounds, but the question is, what then?
Lots of shooting.
Now, what I'm curious is, can't really see from here, but how are all these folks dressed? We might be able to do a little wolf in sheep's clothing.
Make me another notice check. Let's see if you can pick out those details.
10. Staying off the bottle has its perks.
Joshua, you do a little bit more scrutinizing, and it looks like a lot of these guys, with the exception of the folks in the blue and the yellow, they're dressed in somewhat of a similar uniform. It's got some shades of gray to it, probably an old Confederate uniform that's been slightly modified to represent maybe a mercenary standing of some sort.
We don't have any Confederate uniforms, do we?
Well, not right at the present, but if we could overpower a few without being seen, we might have some proper apparel. Just a thought.
How about I give you distractions so that you can do that?
Well, the penultimate goal here is to make sure that Mr. Reddington is pushing up daisies, am I right?
That's correct.
Now, I believe someone did say that they wanted this individual to see his work burn around him slowly.
This may have come up, yes.
So you cause a distraction. Me and the fellers move up one way. Maybe even split our forces in half so that they go another, come in a two-pronged attack, so to speak. That way we're not able to get pinned down or flanked so easy.
Or take down a couple perimeter guards and replace them with some of our men.
Yep. Without shooting, of course.
Yes. It's a little loud.
So we got 11 guys, right? Counting us?
Yes.
And is there one person on each one of these mounds?
There's no uniformity, so there might be on one mound none, on another mound maybe two. They're all kind of milling about and doing things right now. But as of right now, from where you're standing, there probably are about a half a dozen scattered amongst the various mounds in various states of doing things.
So what I was thinking is I would loop around, come in from the forested area on the far side, get all their attention focused on me. You take out a couple perimeter guards, get yourselves in position, and then when I get out of there, we can start burning the place. Ideally, not the mounds. Can I see some of his equipment, the thing I picked up earlier?
Let's notice roll this.
4.
So you're looking to see if you can see the little balls with the spikes?
Right, that, or any other new science equipment that he might have set up down there.
There you can only see just a glint of it. You can't tell exactly what it is, but there is something metallic in that dip, that depression down there. You can't make out any details of what it is, though.
And hopefully, during the distraction, I can figure out what our main target's going to be.
All right. So we'll sneak down, take the place of some of these folks milling around after your distraction.
Mm-hmm.
Let things settle down, get back to normal. Play it by ear and interrupt whatever it is he's doing.
That seems to work. Make him fail completely.
So, what do you want us to do then? Are we going with you? He points at you, Porter, or are we going with you? He points at Joshua.
Zach, pick out 5 guys you trust to be able to take out some of those sentries unseen on one of those mounds. We're gonna send them at about 9 o'clock. You and me, the rest of the fellers, we're gonna hit about 6 o'clock. What we're gonna do is we're gonna wait for some sort of commotion that the boss is gonna cause, because you already went and got him all riled up, and I think he's out for blood right now. So after he makes a distraction, we're gonna move in, subdue some of these fellas, hog tie them, take their place, and then we're gonna wait, kind of get a feel of the land, and then interrupt and deal out good Lord's justice on him.
All right. He pats his vest pocket where he put some of his money. That sounds good, boys. Let's earn that pay. Let's go. And he points off. He takes 5, and they start skirting the edge as best they're able to go around to the 9 o'clock position.
You're staying with me, Zach. Those 5 are going by themselves.
He looks at them. They look back at him. He looks at you, and then looks back at his men, gives a shrug, and goes trotting off with you.
Got to keep an eye on this one. Look over at the old woman. What's she doing in all this?
She's actually gotten off her horse and kept it in the taller parts of the grass and has just kind of sat down and is busy attending to some of the things that she has brought with her, like either some bracelets or other things, little projects to make. And she seems to be kind of minding her own business.
All right, I'm going to pull rope out of saddlebag. And I'm going to suggest that she take the rest of the horses and tie their leads to this rope so that if the need arises, she can ride down with all the horses and we can make a quick escape if need be. Worst case scenario, all the horses are in a lead together so she can get them out of here.
You think you're going to live then?
No, this West ain't killed me yet, ma'am. And it's tried awful darn hard.
She gives an okay sort of shrug and grabs the rope and commences horse wrangling.
Porter is actually going to go to Zig, the professor.
He's been furiously sketching in his journal.
That's what I wanted to see, Professor. I need you to keep an eye out on everything that's happening down there.
This is amazing. Yes, certainly.
And if something seems really, really bad, for whatever reason, you need to find a way to let us know.
He pauses for a moment and then, and he reaches off to the side and digs around in a saddlebag and comes out with a telescope. And he pops it open and he begins looking. And he says to you, it looks like there's something on top of... Oh, yep, nope, there it is too. On each mound. Whatever it is, it doesn't look like it's made very well. Yeah, okay. Oh, interesting, they're both wearing yellow vests.
Yellow
right.
vests?
Oh, no, the people milling around there with... Is that the person you're looking for? And he's pointing, but you can't even, because you're so far away, you can't even tell what he's pointing at. He goes, ooh, what's the matter with that man's face? Is he wearing some sort of skull cap? Is that who you're looking for?
That is indeed who we're looking for.
He's down there. He's working on some sort of contraption. Do you want to see?
Actually, yes, I do. So I'll take the telescope from him, and...
Please be careful. Please be careful. It's from overseas.
I want to first check out what's on top of the mounds, which I'm assuming is a little spike device.
Yes, but not exactly like the kind that you had encountered. It looks like there's a singular spike, and it's resting on top of something. It's hard to tell exactly what it's resting on because it's lost a little bit in the grass that's on top of the hill. As you look on that and you look at a couple other mounds, that's what it appears to be on top of every mound like that. But yeah, so that's what you see there.
And then in the center.
In the center, you can get a little bit better look, and sure enough, Reddington is indeed there. And this device is a much taller cylinder of sorts. It looks like it's a metal cage, and there's something inside the cage, and it's a little bit tough to tell in the light that's here, but something appears to be swirling on the inside. You're picking up bits of black and deep midnight blue, and with a few streaks of white. You can't tell if it's liquid or if it's gases that are kind of circulating around in there. And the spires, the bars of the cage, they all seem to come up to the top and kind of curve outward, but it almost looks like a nozzle of sorts, as opposed to just being like a flat-edged bar or like a piece of 19th century rebar. So it almost looks like there is a tip of some sort on the end there.
Does that brass contraption really let you see that far?
Are there 11 bars on that cage?
It's difficult to... maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you like to see Joshua?
Yeah.
Oh, be careful, please. It came from overseas.
I just handed over. No, you focus. You put it up to your eye, and then you give it a little. You just kind of adjust it a little bit.
Hey, one of these would be handy on a rifle.
I don't know. I think it'd screw you up when you try and aim.
I'm looking at the mounds to see if it looks like from this side if they've done any digging to breach into them, like we've seen before on the edges.
Make me a notice. You can't, with that 4, you can't see specifically any signs of digging, but it does look like the rods that are here have been firmly stuck into the ground, and that whatever it is that Porter thought they were resting on appears to maybe be just some sort of like stabilizer fitting that went over it.
But it doesn't look like they dug a hole on the side that they could walk in and pull out bodies from.
You definitely do not see anything like that.
All right. Here you go, Professor.
Oh,
sorry, almost dropped it there.
Okay, all right. Thank you. And he like secures it back in its little hard leather case. So I'll just wait here then. Yes.
Yes. You have a gun, right?
He pats his hip. Yes, sir.
If there's something that's really bad, don't be afraid to just fire a shot in the air. Let us know.
I will keep an eye out.
I better get going, otherwise I'm going to fall behind here.
If she starts riding in with those horses, you best be getting on one and firing that gun in the air an awful lot, making as big a noise as you can.
I'll do my best. This is exciting.
Right.
I'll take the rest of the guys and Zach and head off to the 6 o'clock since the other ones are already heading off to the 9.
And I'm looping around through the trees to come in at I think it's the 2 o'clock.
Go ahead and make me a stealth roll, and basically this is just to make sure that you don't get a crit fail.
I did not crit fail.
Okay, that's good.
Got a 1 and a 2.
Oh, well, that is not a crit fail, so that's...
All right, so where's the sun, by the way?
It's in the sky.
Back in town with his paw?
Yeah, there's your smart-ass answer for the day.
This is important for me. I need to know about shadows.
Where is the sun?
Is it lower? Is it...
It is lower in the sky, but I will say it is difficult to pinpoint exactly, like compass-wise, where you're at, like which way is north. So it's almost as if there is a somewhat even light, but it is still slightly lower in the sky. It's definitely not high in the sky. It is arcing down towards its evening position.
Are there shadows?
There are some shadows, yes.
That's mostly what I'm focusing on here. I need to know.
It's cute. Porter still thinks he's on Earth.
Joshua, you get your guys into your 6 o'clock position about as close as you feel is safe before you have to worry about being noticed. And you can't really tell exactly what Zach and his guys have done because you can't quite see them, but you're assuming that they also are in the same somewhat position.
Laying in the grass, waiting for a distraction.
All right. So, Porter, you've arced around through the tree line and made your way to the little jutty outpoint of trees that's closest to the roughly 2 o'clock position here of this circle of mounds. How long are you going to wait there once you get to that position?
Considering I had the furthest to go, not very long.
All right.
Everyone left before me, and I had the farthest to go. I'm going to probably steady myself, count maybe 10, and then I'm going to do my thing.
Okay. All right. Well, then I think your thing is going to come before my thing. So
All right.
Let's hear it. What are you going to do?
So Porter, having been surveying the spot the entire time, he's been watching, and he picks out a shadow. Since you said the mounds are about 20 yards away from the tree line,
Yes.
he's going to pick a shadow that was on the opposite side of the mound at about his limit of 24 yards, and he's just going to walk out of the shadow and yell, "Samuel Reddington!"
Do you have to make a spellcasting test for that?
I do, so I don't
All
just
right.
walk into a tree. That's a 5. He is spending 2 power points for this.
Okay.
Because he has very... I'm not liking what may be in the center there. He has his arms out as he calls out, no guns in his hands. He actually has his cards in one hand. That's it.
So you holler out, and you notice immediately a number of heads turn right in your direction. And there are, off to your left, there's a few of the mercenaries. Off to your right and further away, a couple of more mercenaries. You only see one of the blue pair and one of the yellow pair, and they're in the depression there with Reddington, and there might even be a mercenary in there as well. And they all turn and look at you. A couple of guns do get pointed at you, but then you see Reddington, he kind of pops his head around and he says, "Who's there?"
It's Porter Holt.
Do I know you?
You do. But I'd like to discuss it over a game of dominoes. Wait. I'm assuming you guys heard me yell Samuel Reddington. I made sure to yell it as loud as possible.
Yeah, I got a 1 on my listening check. I am a little hard of hearing with this old age.
I'm going to start walking towards it, my arm's still out.
At that point, you definitely see one of the mercenary guys come up. He kind of comes up out of the depression and he aims a rifle at you. That's far enough, boy.
But Porter stops.
Again, I'm going to ask, do I know you?
You do. But I'd like to discuss it over a game of dominoes.
He looks around and he looks at both the blue and the yellow individual that are with him. I'm not sure exactly how you got here. I'm kind of in the middle of something right now.
I'm well aware. I'd like to talk about it.
Are you from the organization?
I have to make a guts check here.
Critical fail. What's
I didn't expect to fail this. You have to give me a moment.
Let's just get all these ones out of here now.
Yeah.
Porter decides to go through with it, and at the last second before he's going to yell out something, his voice just catches in his throat, and he just kind of goes, "What the hell am I doing? Why am I doing this?"
And so you say that?
No. No, I kind of say it under my breath. What the hell am I doing? No.
All right, then what exactly are you doing here? Because, and you may want to choose your next words carefully, because they may be your last. And you see the mercenaries who are at your left begin to move in a little bit closer. Their guns are also drawn. At this point, Joshua, one of the Zach is with you, and he says, he taps you on the arm. Boss, we gonna do something here? He's been like talking here for the past couple minutes.
Oh crap! Yeah, here I am daydreaming. Let's go.
What the?
I got a little comfortable down here. I'm sorry.
All right, so I'm gonna play Tranquil Moment.
All right.
Porter thinks back. He just kind of, what the hell am I doing here? And Jen, it's Regina pops up in his head. And he's like, Samuel Reddington, I've been following you since Worthington.
You can see his expression visibly darkens at that. Oh, and let me guess. You also must have been then in Deadwood.
I may have ruined your experiment then, yes.
Our experiment was ruined by that cowboy, that fool Ike hired, and you definitely aren't him.
No, your face was ruined by him. I blew up your experiment.
You killed Patchy. Oh, well, that's not good.
So, would you like to sit down and talk now?
What is there that you would ever have to talk to me about?
I'd like to know, what the hell are you doing?
Oh, well, that's easy enough. I could certainly show you. We were just about to begin, as a matter of fact. Your timing couldn't have been better.
Really? Are you sure?
Oh, yes. There was, we had a slight mishap a couple of days ago. I'm going to assume that was also probably you. We had, some of my conducting devices, were destroyed in an explosion at the Barton stables. And, well, it certainly wasn't a setback, and he taps the large cylinder thing next to him. Thankfully, we'd already moved this item. It set us back slightly, but I was able to make a few adjustments, and I think the experiment should work perfectly, as a matter of fact.
Let me rephrase this. Why are you doing this? I have a good idea of what you're intending to do. I want to know why. Why so many people had to die for this?
Well, it's science, man. In every experiment, there's always going to be failures and tests that don't quite go well, and these things happen as you blaze these new trails into uncharted territories. And this definitely, and he gestures around to all the mounds, this is the past. This is definitely an uncharted territory. I am about to bring back these gods, for lack of a better term.
So as he gestured around to the mounds, has our groups reached the tops of some of the mounds?
Is that what your group is attempting to do, Joshua, is get up to the top of one of these mounds?
If there was some guys congregating around the top of the mounds, we were going to take them down.
The largest concentration only that was on top of a mound that you saw was 2 guys.
Yep, that's fine.
You absolutely have gotten into a position where you can do that.
So, leading a formerly dead giant with a horse leg into a innocent mining camp and slaughtering people was an experiment?
Well, yes. To be quite blunt about it, of course it was an experiment. It was already a successful effort in the sense that I was able to make Patchy work with the addition of some non-human components. So that was an experiment in and of itself, but it was more about the ability to be able to control Patchy and to make sure that he followed the commands that were necessary, commands that came from me, and he actually did that quite well.
And you couldn't have made him just pick up a barrel? Or drink a cup of tea?
It's funny that you should mention that. I had him do that. He didn't really require sustenance, but simple, fine motor skills such as picking up a cup of tea and even, good man, making the tea. Those he was able to accomplish, but we're not simply creating automatons to do manual labor for us. This is something far larger. There's all manner of changes afoot here in the West, and those who have a technological edge are those who will inherit the future. And what better ways than to looking back at the past and something such as this?
I've still heard nothing you've said that justifies slaughtering those people.
If they wouldn't have died by Apache's hands, they would have died probably by the hands of the Sioux. They would have strayed off their claims. It happens almost daily. That area was a war zone. Had Apache worked to its full extent, it actually would be a war zone right now. But, and he looks around again, with the addition of these fine individuals who will soon be joining us, I think that we should be able to make proper use of them. So by all means, please sit back and relax. I'm more than happy to demonstrate to this how this works.
Do you have a seat?
You can stay right there. I think that would be just fine.
That's disappointing. First off, I want to look around. Is there a shadow near me?
Make me a notice check. While you do that, okay, so Joshua, you and Zach, and what did you have? Let's see, the other group had 5, so then you would have had, 3 total with you?
3.
Do you want to try and eliminate these ones quietly, or do you want to just straight up shoot them?
Quiet. Tomahawks out.
So here's how we'll do this. So I'm going to draw 2 cards. We're going to kind of make this a modified, quote-unquote, quick encounter. And this first one's for your side. And the second one is for their side. They got a king, you got a queen. Neither one is a club, so there's not necessarily a complication. So as you're moving up to get them, one of the cowboys, it's you, Zach, and one other person?
Correct.
So the other guy, he essentially stumbles on the way up there and makes them aware of your presence. Now, they don't necessarily have their guns at the ready, but they're out. So I'm going to give them essentially a +1 to their combat roll. Now, you go ahead and you make whatever appropriate combat roll you want to do, and then we're going to compare the results with this. But I will say that the range here is essentially almost point blank, so there won't be any shooting involved. So you're still going to be able to maintain that quote-unquote stealth factor that you have.
Okay, so I can make a fighting check instead of a throw-in check?
You absolutely can do that. So I got a 3 with a +1. You got a 4.
I'm going to add a d6 to that because I want this to succeed. But you're going to get to draw a chip.
Add that d6.
So it's going to give me a total of an 8.
Gives you a total of an 8. So that is essentially gives you a raise. So what ends up happening is, though the other guy stumbled as you're coming up and you lost your surprise bonus, they were ready for you. They came to meet you, and you, between the 3 of you, and there was only 2 of them, you essentially were able to overpower them. Like you and Zach teamed up on one, you came in high, he came in low, and he was down right away. And as the other guy and the mercenary were struggling, it gave you enough time to swing back around with your tomahawk and plant it right in the guy's back and put him down. And essentially, without any real noise, you have overcome both of these individuals.
So I will tell the other guy that stumbled, get into that Confederate's clothes and head up and wait on top of that other mound.
Okay.
Zach, you get in this one. Head up to that 3rd mound. I'm gonna head up on top of this one and keep an eye out. See if you can see your compatriots over there and if they're doing any good. And once you get to the top of those mounds, see if you can, I don't know, knock over that piece of rebar or whatever sticking up out of the ground, that piece of metal. Pull it up, knock it over, see if you can do something with it.
All right. Okay, so back to you, Porter. Reddington says, No, you can stay right there. That's probably close enough. Clearly, you're have been more than an annoyance. It's nice to meet you, I guess, in that sense. I would appreciate it if you would just stay out of the way.
All right.
Oh, you were gonna make a notice roll to see with the shadows. What did you get?
5.
All right. You absolutely can spot any number of shadows within
Diving distance?
diving distance. Yeah, for sure.
If I can, I kind of want to sidle so one's directly behind me. Just like a shift in my way, a sidestep or something. Not towards him,
Okay.
just slightly to the side or something like that.
Do you know where you're going to end up?
Well, I got time to look around. I'll just kind of look and see for something that's back by the mounds themselves. I'm looking for a retreat path, is what I'm looking for.
You can absolutely jump into a shadow that's nearby you and then reappear at some spot up on the mound that is closest to you.
That's what I'm.
All right.
That's what I'm looking for. Yep.
Go ahead and make your spellcasting test just in case bad things happen.
7. I'm not going yet, but I am. I just wanted to make sure I'm ready to go.
Reddington turns his attention away from you and to the device. The blue and yellow individual that's there, they maintain eye contact with you, as does the two mercenaries who, they're not right next to you by any stretch of the imagination, but they're certainly within rifle range.
Porter kind of smiles nervously at him, kind of wipes at his brow, and lifts his hat up.
As you're doing that, you see what looks like a bit of a heat shimmer kind of effect begin to kind of swirl around Reddington in this depression. And even as you were talking to him, you could only see about half of him anyway, because he was down. But this heat shimmer type of appearance just begins to swirl in a circular motion up and around. And within a few seconds, the swirls of color that you saw when you were spying on it earlier begin to appear within the shimmer, and they sort of arc up and around down into the cylinder, and then 11 beams shoot out from each of those points around the cylinder. They crackle like lightning and go to each of the spires that are sticking out of the tops of the mounds. After Zach and the other gun hand take off, you basically go to try and rip this bar out.
Yeah, because they were heading to one of the other each to another mound to try to do the same thing. So at the mound that had the two guys on it, I'm trying to rip it out or bend it over or something.
I was about to use this card on you, but I can't deny you that 14.
My D4 athletics exploded 3 times, and my wild die exploded twice.
That is quite a roll.
Quite a roll there. I might want to do something as well. As soon as I see those beams come out, I'm going to throw a card at his device because I can't let him succeed at this. And now that he's reached the moment of his success, just to blow it up in his face would be really satisfying.
Let's see who gets to go first in this regard as far as how those things materialize.
Well, let me actually then play this.
Ooh, what is it?
Seize the day. It lets me go an initiative as if I had a joker.
Okay. All right, then you can absolutely do that. So then here, we'll back the action up then slightly. So you see the little slight swirls of color in the heat shimmer. They arc around, go back down into the cylinder, and then you can see the tips of the top of the cylinder, the things that were the little nozzles, begin to light up, and it becomes very obvious to you that something is going to come out of there and probably go right to each mound. And so that's when you decide to act. And you have not fallen back into your shadow yet?
No. So what Porter's going to do, he's going to do his wiping at his brow again. He lifts it up, and he rubs at his forehead with one hand, but his cards are in his hand. And then as it comes down, he just flicks one card out in a bolt straight for that thing. And I'm putting all my power into it, or as much as I can. So I'm going to spend 3 power points. No, I'm not. I'm going to use my cards. I'm going to use my cards, and I'm probably going to use the King of Hearts too. So, we'll keep that in mind. 2 points on armor piercing and 2 points on damage. So this bolt is costing 5 points.
What kind of hand do you have to get the power point?
I would have to get 3 of a kind to get 5 power points, which I think I can do. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to risk it all on this gamble.
Well, something is about to happen, and I'd wager it's not going to be pleasant. The end is near for one of these sides, and we may find out who in our next issue, The Showdown Part 2. The part of Porter Holt is played by Brad Smith, Joshua Young is played by Brent Rich, and your intrepid marshal is played by Chris Hussey. This game references the Savage Worlds game system available from Pinnacle Entertainment Group at peginc.com. It is unofficial media content permitted under the Media Network Content Agreement. This content is not managed, approved, or endorsed by Pinnacle Entertainment Group. Certain portions of the materials used are the intellectual property of Pinnacle, and all rights are reserved. Savage Worlds, all related settings, and unique characters, locations, logos, and trademarks are copyrights of Pinnacle Entertainment Group. Thanks also to Fear the Boot. Support their Patreon at patreon.com/feartheboot. Intro and exit music by Half Deaf Clatch. Some sound effects by Plate Mail Games. Contact information for the cast as well as music links can be found in the notes on our website, youngandholt.com. If you enjoy these issues, please consider dispensing a lovely 5-star review on wherever you do listen from. Please search for Fear the Boot Actual Play. It's kindly appreciated. And if you can't leave a review, then please tell a friend or 3 about the show. I'm Ernest Wick for the Tombstone Epitaph. And remember, anger is a state that starts with madness and ends with regret.
Spectres flit in the moonlight. The doctor is a master. Diabolical medicine show to watch would be a disaster. He shouts, he pleads.